We are live. All right, let's go, Chuck.
All right. You ready for this?
I'm ready, baby.
Choo choo. Come on, ride that train and ride it. You remember that in 8th grade?
I
that was
snuck
like
into that concert, and it was maybe one of the best days of my adolescent life. Yeah, seeing a lot of girls that didn't live in the same area as me just freaking going at it, man. I may have hit puberty like on the second verse of that song.
So what's great to know about John Chapman is he's the master of sneaking into places. Like, I'm not kidding you. John and I snuck onto the set of Transformers 2 or 3, and it was all John. John, we got to eat lunch with the crew. And there was literally gated off areas. Like, we were not supposed to be there. I was so scared. And John's like, they're bringing us sandwiches. He's like, do you have chicken sandwich? I'm like, stop talking to these people and let them just hand us a sandwich. You're going to get us busted. He snuck us into the NFL draft, basically. Well, got us in line in front of 1,002 people. I don't know. There's a lot of places I can't mention that he snuck us into. But
yeah, that's a very specific reference. I don't think you can make up on the spot. He snuck us into Transformers 2 set. That's pretty good. I don't think you can make that up. Yeah, I just don't take no, man. Well, I do. No means no. I'm not trying to say that.
Yeah,
like that's not what's happening here. It's just yeah. Why not?
Yeah, he sneaks into places. Anyways, this is a podcast about this is the football podcast. All right. And so here's the breakdown of today. We're going to go over some NFL news quickly, and then we're going to hit into the NFC West and the AFC West. And then we're going to kind of talk a little bit about some fantasy football implications at the end. That's your podcast. And you're going to learn a little bit about John, that he likes to sneak into places.
I do. If you invite me, that's cool. I'm an opposite of a vampire, right? Like they have to be invited in. No, I want this. I want to like find a way to like go places.
They'll use this podcast in court someday. So moving into NFL news, take us through some things that we just need to know about week 1.
Man, probably the biggest news that happened after, week 1 of the preseason. We had the Hall of Fame game, then week 1. Darius Guice going down. That was definitely the biggest downer off of a huge run. Looked awesome. And, man, tears his ACL. And what made it worse is the injury looked bad. And then the reports out of, Washington's camp was, it's an MCL sprain. Nope, definitely not that. They get the MRI, complete tear. He is done for the year. And so Guice going out, man, that's huge. Big. And so you and I, we got a close friend, Jay, who literally minutes after news goes out, he sends us pictures of a draft he's in, and he took Guice within minutes of the news. And it was like, are you joking? And he's like, no, why? What's up? He's done, dude. He's out. So, yeah,
I felt so bad breaking that news to him. Like, I felt like I delivered a diagnosis. Like, I know what it's like to be a doctor. But because he's like,
that's it, man. That's as bad as it gets. I mean, you totally.
Yeah. I'm like, you have stage 4 Guice. Anyways.
So Guice goes down. Another promising rookie that I've been very high on, Deion Kane out of Clemson for the Colts. He was basically working with the starters as a 5th-round pick, and he tore his ACL as well. Not near as big a loss, but again, another rookie that was going to be a starter goes down. So that hurts. So there's lots of other injuries that took place, but nothing as severe as those two. LaShawn McCoy got some bad news today that just came out. We heard a few weeks ago that his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend cited some physical abuse and robbery and all these different things with one of his friends. Well, she just filed a personal suit against him. So this is not something that's going to go away. But the thing is this, and we saw this with Reuben Foster. Whether it's guilty or not, that's irrelevant. That's not what we're trying to do. And, we're a football podcast, and it's kind of hard to separate humanity from what's going on. In the biggest scheme of things, man, Buffalo Bills football, no offense, Bills Mafia, I love you guys. Not that big of a deal. What's going on with this young lady's life and LaShawn McCoy is much bigger. But the NFL's office will not deal with this until all investigations are final with the police and the court system, which means probably nothing will happen this year. We saw it with the Zeke. It was delayed an entire year till the legal system runs its case. So I don't think that this has any impact this year. Next year, big time.
Gotcha. Well, moving on to Alfred Morris, friend of the past. He joins your team, San Francisco 49ers. How do you feel about that?
He's played under Kyle Shanahan before. He had his big year under Kyle Shanahan back with Washington. And Jerick McKinnon, he had a very similar scare during practice, non-contact injury, falls down. Everybody thinks it's ACL. But he popped up, seemed okay. They do the MRI. It was just a calf strain, a high calf strain, which is kind of weird. But he's going to be out for a while. Matt Breida separated his shoulder in the first preseason game, so he might just be a camp body. I think he has a chance to make the roster, but they just need running backs because the next 2 weeks, possibly 3, the entire preseason, they're out of their RB1 and RB2. So they had to get somebody in there. And I love Alfred Morris. You know exactly what he brings. He's played in the system, so he can step in day one with terminology with Shanahan. So, yeah, it's not bad.
I like him too. He's a one-cut guy who's just going to hit the hole. And if they block it up, he's going to go for some yards. He'll even get some after yards contact, but he's just not he's not the guy. He's not going to be the guy in it again. But again, his familiarity with that coach, love it.
Yep.
Let's see. So Cam in that whole Kelvin video, hilarious. But at the same time, weirdly, Kelvin comes off as the worst person in that video. But there's just
which is hard to do whenever you're in a video with Cam Newton,
right? But he's got a history.
He's not the best on video. Yeah, in impromptu situations, turns out. I buy yogurt, and he doesn't. They don't endorse him anymore. So just saying.
But still like that yogurt.
I do actually. Dak Prescott, man, he picked up right where Cam left off.
Ooh, nice. Some news some news that I don't really like to hear. That my boy Alshon Jeffrey might be starting the year on the PUP. It's probably for the best because you want to keep a guy like that healthy. And the Eagles are as primed up as they've ever been with talent as long as I've been an Eagles fan. So it's kind of concerning, but I think that he's going to be fine overall. What do you think?
Yeah, the problem is there's a big difference between being on the PUP list now and being on the PUP list after the 53-man roster cut. So if you're on the PUP list right now during preseason, you can be activated tomorrow. There's no issues. Preseason PUP list doesn't even make sense. I wish they would change the term. However, after the last preseason game, if you remember, they pushed back the cut date where you had to cut down from 90. They had 2 tiered cuts, but now you just go from 90 to 53 after that last preseason game. If you are on the PUP list then, you have to miss the first 6 weeks of the regular season. And this is the problem. He's got a torn rotator cuff, and he had surgery several months ago, but it's just not healing the way it is. We've seen this with Alshon Jeffrey his entire career. He is always injured, but whenever he's on the field, top notch. So I hope that he can kick it. And I think, if I'm the Eagles personnel guy, Howie or whatever, I'm telling myself, is there an opportunity he could be ready in 3 or 4 weeks? And if that's the case, I'll just make him inactive for those few weeks. You don't get a roster exception, but he's that big of a deal. So if they do put him on the PUP, you are probably looking at 6 weeks or longer. So just kind of keep that in mind. Those fantasy drafts, fade that guy. Fade him quick.
Yeah. Oh, man. Or buy really low once it comes out. Talk about some of these rookies that did some work. I know that John, real quick, if you don't follow John, Well, you probably do. But John does a lot of draft work. And so he invests all these time in film, and just to kind of probably see some of these guys blossom is pretty cool. So take us through those guys.
Yeah, the preseason, a lot of people, I understand you're not big fans of it. It's not as high quality football, and I get that. I mean, it makes total sense. You got all these guys playing that look like their names are out of a Key and Peele sketch. Like, you don't know who the hell's out there, and I get that. But these rookies, you kind of get to tell who and the guys that are going to have a chance. And so, I can honestly say, and this is it's almost like, hi, my name's John. And then I have to admit I have a problem. But, I was able to watch at least the very first half of all 16 preseason games. The majority, I watched all of them. But I wanted to make sure before this pod that, I could get through all of them just so I could have a take on this. That's sad, right? Is that bad?
Well, I think that they're probably like NFL networks, like doing a little study on you, and you don't know, like with Game Pass, they're like, typically people don't watch all the games, but this guy's rewatching all the games.
It's like Netflix released their user report last year, and apparently one user account watched the B movie 300 times last year. And that was like the thing, like literally 300 times the B movie.
That it was a child, undoubtedly.
That's what I'm thinking too. Whenever I saw that, I was like, okay, they got a freaking, kid that's going through some stuff, and loves for bees. Some reason, bees calm them down. So, whatever. So,
what it works.
Back to, hey man, I feel you. I get it. So rookies, Baker Mayfield, gosh, he looked really, really good. The problem was Tyrod Taylor looked better. Tyrod Taylor. There we go. That's hard to say. Tyrod Taylor literally went perfect. And him to Jarvis Landry, gosh, if you are watching Hard Knocks, whoo,
yes, sir.
That is a thing. That is the thing. I want to pause because I want to hear what Chuck has to say about Hard Knocks. Man.
Oh, man, it's so cool. This is kind of a surprise. This is impromptu, totally. All right. John and I never got to discuss. You watched episode 1, correct?
Oh, yes. Twice.
Okay. So here's the thing, and I actually have a question for you, because the difference between John and I, there are many differences, but one of the differences is that John actually has been a coach for a pretty significant football program, high school football program in Texas, Dallas, Texas, competitive. So he knows what it's like to be in a coaching room. And I've played football in high school, but I don't know what it's like to be a coach. I've never seen the type of disrespect to a head coach that I saw in that Hard Knocks, not just from Todd Haley, just an overall sort of like nonchalant, this guy's not that important type of approach to him. Is that just me, or what were your vibes as a former coach? What would your vibe be if you were a coach at that meeting? What would your walkaway be?
So the thing that you're referencing is basically the situation was this. The running backs coach for the Cleveland Browns comes out and says, hey, coach, we have a lot of guys missing a lot of practice. Is there a way that if somebody is missing practice, they can get suited up and just be out there with us getting mental reps?
Okay. Well, let me stop though.
Okay.
In front of everybody, you're telling me you can't go, and he said it in an aggressive tone.
Oh, very aggressive. Yeah, very aggressive.
So you're telling me you can't go to that coach in private and say, hey, you know what? This is my stance on it, man to man. There's no other cocks in the room. It's just us.
And so this is the thing. And I've been a part of a few different coaching staffs, and you find out real quick the reason why coaches have gotten to where they are, that they're not going to change. So, and we saw this in that same clip. Hugh Jackson said, does anybody have any other questions, any other beefs? Get it out now. Speak right now. We're men, or forever hold your peace. Like, Hugh Jackson has been since day one a player's coach that people love and everybody wants to be around. Whenever Hugh Jackson had the opportunity to go to the 49ers, that's who I wanted. Oh, man, I just threw up a little bit. But, like, I was pumped, and I thought we were getting him. Now, we didn't get him, thank God. But this is who this guy is. He is the guy that is your buddy. He's Marvin Lewis. In that same division, it's this, hey, man, I'm on your side. You do you. He's Pete Carroll, same thing. These player kind of buddy coaches. There's nothing wrong with that. However, what you win the people with is what you win them to. I hate using that line, but it makes sense. And basically is this, like, he's not going to change whenever he got there. And he is in the position he's in because, one, he is a hell of an offensive coordinator. He's a piece of shit coach. His values are great. I'd love to hang out with him. I wish I was friends with him. However, he never needs to be a head coach. Yeah. And Todd Haley was 100% right. Todd Haley came out and said, look, the way things have been here haven't worked. We need these guys out there because we're not getting in better. We're not improving. And this is the thing that I took away from that coaches meeting. Todd Haley is freaking awesome because he challenged the coach and laid everything out there. And then Hugh Jackson goes, well, sorry, decision's made. I've sat in your chair. I'm here now, and I'm making this decision, and we're moving forward with it. Todd Haley puts both hands on his head just like, you freaking moron, and then takes a deep breath and then says, I'm with coach. And actually, after he said that, I support your, like, this was cool. It was totally like, this guy's running it. It's his show. I defer to him. He made his concern known. I love that.
I didn't love it because I don't like the way that it plays in the dynamic. I get it. Here's the thing. If I'm the head coach and the running backs coach spoke out and then the offensive line or offensive coordinator speaks out, I know that there's some disruption on the offensive side of the ball for the coaches. Means that conversations have taken place. So Todd Haley follows up as running backs coach after the awkward exchange with Hugh Jackson. I don't like the group dynamic of that. I much more appreciate a Hard Knocks scene of Todd Haley coming to him and saying, listen, not going to dog you out in front of everybody because he's being challenged in front of his people. Here's how I feel about
it. He's got to be challenged. And that's who he is. And so I get it, man. I'm with you, and I understand why that bothers you. And there's a reason why that will never, ever happen with Bill Belichick, right? It's not going to happen. But and that is kind of who this is. And again, we've seen Greg Williams. Let's jump over to the DC side.
Ugh.
He's just gross.
I hate him.
If you start his very first meeting with the players, and this is I'm way off base here. This is a summarization, not an exact quote. But the gist of his statement was, I had 7 other offers, and I chose to come here. Like, dude, you douchebag. Why the hell do you have to try to prove how great you are? I have no idea how this guy is still employed in this league. I can't stand that man. His only means of motivation is to degrade and to tear down. The one thing that he does is he can dial up exotic blitzes, and he covers his coverages very, very well. And so I understand that has a premium in the NFL on the defensive side. However, the dude is just such a douchebag, man. And it shows from every second he is on that camera. I just want to punch him in the face.
No doubt. He's a piece of shit. It's like 100%. But that's the thing. Hugh Jackson, unfortunately, has been surrounded by guys who all want his position, and definitely it appears don't respect him. Let me say one more thing, and then we need to move on. The difference of what leadership is or what is viewed as, I really believe, kind of depends on your experience and depends on how old you are, really. And I hate to pull that card. But that speech that Jarvis Landry gave, I find it so disturbing that people think that that's leadership. I find it so weird that people are like, oh, look at that, man. That's awesome. If you go back and you listen to it, he said jack shit. This is a virus, man. Honestly, he said nothing objective. He just screamed. He got emotional. It got weird. Lead by example. Don't go and do some stupid spiel in front of your team. Honestly, I feel like guys in their early 20s, mid 20s think that that's leadership. And they're like, man, that's awesome. I think people, maybe I don't want to generalize that specific age, but I think that people with just more experience with a good leadership see that and go, that's weakness. All that stuff. There's a reason Miami was ready to let go of him. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I felt really put off by his speech.
Yeah, and he had a couple guys that he was targeting with that. This is going to be on the next episode, but they traded away former first-round pick Corey Coleman right after that, within days, for a 2020 7th-round pick, like not even next year's. And that's kind of thing. So if you look at the people that came from outside the system, inside the system, Todd Haley, right? Offensive coordinator with Pittsburgh, lots and lots of success. Jarvis Landry with Miami, but Miami compared to the Browns, basically Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
And so you have these guys coming over from different systems that have experienced success. I mean, the Miami did make the playoffs a year ago, which is crazy, but they're telling them, like, look, you don't get better by being on the sideline. And his method and all that stuff and just cussing out people, whatever, that's what it was entertaining as hell, I'll tell you that. But there needs to be some shakeup, because the way Cleveland does things is trash. They lose for a reason. A lot of it has to do with their ownership, and a lot of it has to do with their head coach. I think Todd Haley will make them better, and I think Jarvis Landry is going to have a career year. I think he's going to crush it. So anyway, we will talk more about that next week. It's so fun, man, just seeing. And Baker came out looking positive. Like, I liked him more.
Oh, same here. So really quickly, I'm going to just catch us up. Other rookies that shine: Kerryon Johnson, Royce Freeman, and Michael Gallup, guys that John actually predicted that would have or would be coming on. We'll see if Kerryon will get a little bit more of a role this year. It's a crowded backfield, but
it is
more is to be seen. But this week on Twitter, we got a request to feature the NFC West. So that means we're going to be breaking down the NFC West and the AFC West. So let's start right in at the NFC West. John, I'm going to let you go ahead and break down your team, the San Francisco 49ers. Give us the prediction. Talk about your team.
Yeah, I love this team, but there are some major deficiencies. Like, I don't want to be, have the rose-colored glasses on and all these things. But, yeah, they're going to go as far as Jimmy G and that pass rush takes them. I have them predicted going 9-7, and I wanted to go 8-8. But whenever I look over their schedule, man, they have a lot of winnable games at home. And they have a few good road matchups, I mean, just looking at it briefly, Arizona on the road, that's a division. At Tampa Bay, that's not tough. At Seattle is always hard for them. However, Seattle is rough this year. So there's some winnable games on the road. And usually your record comes down to that. Defending home, everybody does. And then winning on the road. And so they have some winnable games. So 8-8 to 9-7, I think, makes sense.
So I actually follow John in this prediction. I like them at 9-7. I think that Jimmy G, it's not just a fluke. I think that he's going to give defenses problems. I like their offensive line to pass protect, but I also like him to get rid of the ball pretty quickly. Their wide receiver core, my God. I've been following the Niners a lot more this year than any other year. And that wide receiver core is just dumb. And it's filled with a lot of guys who aren't household names, but they're talented.
Kyle Shanahan has signed or drafted any guy that gets open in space. So basically his philosophy right now is, I want 4 Wes Welkers.
Yes.
That's what he's doing. And he doesn't care how tall you are. We don't have any starters. Our tallest starter is, 6'1", but that's about it. Like,
is that
we got a couple
Aldrich?
6'1" guys. No, Aldrich's going to get cut. I'm telling you this right now. He's not even going to make the roster. That's how deep this is with young guys. Richie James, Dante Pettis, Trent Taylor, Marquise Goodwin, guys like that. Kendrick Bourne's probably the biggest at 6'3", but he's a backup. Like, it's just a bunch of small, shifty guys.
They got to sign Richie James, because if they offered him a practice squad spot, you got to believe his agent would tell him, do not do that. Somebody's going to pick you up.
Yeah, he'll clear waivers. So you have to clear waivers before you can sign that, and he's not going to clear waivers. He showed out. He dominated. He was the first slot out there. People don't understand. Richie James was on the field in this preseason game before Dante Pettis. So, like, you need to understand that guy, he has a roster spot.
Yeah. Take us through the Rams. What do you think about them?
Man, the Rams are amazing, and I can see why with their personnel choices, why a lot of people have them going to the Super Bowl. I don't see it. I do have them winning the division with a 9-7 record, but man, their road games do not match up very, very well. They've got some rough games at New Orleans, Minnesota, Los Angeles Chargers, at Denver, at Detroit, Philly. Like they got the way the NFL does the schedule is if you finish first in your division, you play against first place division winners.
Right.
And that matches up with New Orleans and Philadelphia and these teams, Denver, Minnesota. I mean, they've got a rough schedule. So 9-7, I think, makes sense. And I do think that they will win the division over the Niners, but it's going to be close.
So I have them at 10-6, a doubtful 10-6, though. I put them there because, man, there's so much talent on this team and their coaching scheme and all that. However, they have a tender defensive end situation. They lost Alex Ogletree. And I think that that's going to make a difference in the run game. However, the corners that they have are actually pretty decent in the run. So
and they're just amazing everywhere.
Yeah. So I kind of feel like they'll be able to make some plays, but overall, I think that that'll be the Rams' Achilles heel this year. I think teams are going to be able to run on them, not in the inside because Aaron Donald and Sue are going to be doing their thing, but definitely to the outside and washing some of these linebackers. So 10-7. I've got the Cards going 7-9. The thing is it's, I don't know why it's that high as I'm looking at it. I'm like, should I go 6-10? But there's just something about that defense. I'm a little bit higher on it than most. I think Chandler Jones is going to show out again. Patrick Peterson, Budda Baker, some of these guys, that defense, there's just something about them. They're grimy is the best word. And then you've got, there's just something too about Larry Fitzgerald, David Johnson, Christian Kirk. There's some weapons there that are just danger. And then, don't let me forget Ricky Seals Jones, right? Or Ricky Jones.
You're right. RSJ.
I mean, RSJ, this dude is basically a converted wide receiver, tight end, whatever you want to say. So I am liking them. I think their schedule's a little bit weaker too. I could see them getting a 7-9, especially we don't know what Josh Rosen's going to do in year one.
He's going to start soon. He didn't look good. I'll be honest with you. In his preseason game, his pocket awareness was trash. But I do think you can't bet on Sam Bradford playing more than 4 games. And that offensive line is rough. You put out. So here's the thing about the Cardinals. I think they have one of the worst rosters in the NFL, but they are really good at premium positions, right? So Chandler Jones led the entire NFL in sacks by a lot. Like, that is amazing. Patrick Peterson, top 3 corner. Like, so you're talking about these very difficult positions for the majority of the NFL, and they got it locked down. But then you get to O-line, defensive tackles, linebackers, things like that, and it's just, it's pretty rough. So I could see them getting to that point. I have them 5-11. I just don't believe in that roster. But, as I look over it, I wouldn't be surprised if they did better than 5-11. Yeah. Fitzgerald, the leadership there, David Johnson is, man, I think he's the best, in my opinion, running back in the NFL when he's healthy. And he only got in there and had 2 carries, but man, that kid, he just looks bigger than everybody else.
And for 22 carries, 28 yards. So he's averaging 14
easy.
Yards.
Like, it looks like you ever play that game where it's like, man, I wonder what it'd be like to go back and play middle school football now. Like, he's doing it with NFL players.
Yeah, I'd tire out.
Cramp.
So next up is Seattle, and I got them going 6-10. They'd be so much lower if they didn't have Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's going to win them games. Now, here's the thing for those who are listening. If Russell Wilson stays healthy all 16 games, sure, up the record. I don't even know by how much.
Because he's never missed a game in his career.
Because he's that good. But here's the deal. You didn't knock on wood for him, unfortunately. So here's the deal. That offensive line is going to have him scrambling for his life. And here's the other part. That defense isn't that defense anymore. That defense is done. And they're going to get run on. They're going to get passed on. And that cover 3 is only that cover 3 when you have those kind of playmakers out there. And is Earl Thomas going to be traded before week 6? I think that's a possibility. So, again, I have a belief that Russell Wilson does not survive the season.
I don't see it either. I'm with you. I that's well said. You like him more than me. I'm basically almost a game lower on everybody. I got him going 5-11. Again, you got a great quarterback. Terrible wide receiver core outside of Doug Baldwin. I love Doug Baldwin, but yeah, he is, that's it. Offensive line, I think they have the second worst offensive line in the entire NFL, ahead of the Texans. That's about it. And their defense isn't what it used to be. Their linebacking core is unreal good, but secondary, nope. Earl Thomas is it. And so, yeah, and a tough division on top of that. So I got them going 5-11. And I could see it getting worse because we have not seen that team. They had a good season last year. Like, they almost made the playoffs. We haven't seen Pete Carroll have a bad year. And once he does, with Earl Thomas already out there chirping, like, it's going to get bad quick because that team is full of front runners. And so I think it's going to get bad quick. I really do. I think Seattle is going to have a huge down year, and I could see them picking in the top 5 next year.
So, like, chances of Pete Carroll being the coach at Ohio State, decent.
No, I think he's done. He's the oldest coach in the entire NFL. And we have seen this time and time again. When things get bad, he leaves. I would probably put it at 75%. This is his last year at Seattle. I don't think he coaches again. But, I mean, once, sanctions or any of that stuff comes, he's out for sure. He did the same thing to USC. I'm not leaving. Why would I leave this job? Oh, sorry, we have penalties. Oh, scholarship restrictions. Peace. I'm out.
Yeah.
Chewing my gum somewhere else, ladies and gentlemen.
Like, you can't just leave a mess at Airbnb, okay? They'll find
That's right. They leave reviews.
Moving on to a surprisingly up and down, who knows what's going to happen division, the AFC West.
Man, you talk about one of the most competitive divisions in all of football, not just the AFC. This is it. The Chargers, man, I jinx these guys all the time because I feel like I am their GM. Like, they get guys I love and I'm super high on, and then they're just always injured. They lost 2 key starters before the very first practice. It just, Hunter Henry goes down at training camp, and then the very first practice, they lose Jason Verrett, who they lost last year, who was a Pro Bowl corner his rookie year out of TCU. So you just lose 2 guys right off the bat. And, man, hopefully they can stay healthy. They get Forrest Lamp back, their second-round pick last year, the guard out of Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers. And, man, I picked them to go all the way, and I am fading that pretty damn quick. Yeah. But I do have them winning the division and going 10-6. I love Phillip Rivers, and like everything that is a football fan in me says Phillip Rivers, he needs a damn championship. I can't have Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger being the quarterbacks in that draft. I can't have it.
Yeah, it's something where you can't measure a guy by Super Bowl rings because the dude is fantastic.
Let me ask you this. Pause. Hold on. So let's go back and let's say, knowing what you know now, you get to have any one of these 3 quarterbacks, Roethlisberger, Eli, or Rivers. Like, how do you rank them?
I mean, you've got to go. I think you've got to go Rivers number 1. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and take Roethlisberger 2, and then I'm taking Eli 3rd.
Yeah, and Eli is a distant 3rd for me. And I know that's weird because Roethlisberger hasn't won. I'm sorry, Rivers hasn't won. But I would take Rivers. I really, really would. I love that guy. It sucks that he hasn't won. I wish him and LT would have been able to freaking win it, but that's okay. I'm not even a Chargers guy. I love LT and I love Rivers just because of who they are.
Yeah. So again, I think we both have them at 10-6. I think that Melvin Ingram, Joey Bosa, Derwin James, Hayward, that defense is going to cause havoc. They're going to do damage. They're going to cause turnovers. They're going to be a problem. And the thing is that as the Philadelphia Eagles have built a model of, you know what, have a good quarterback, have a good scheme. But if we get to your quarterback first, it does not matter. If we stop the run and put you in 3rd and longs, it doesn't matter. So
that's the problem they had last year is they could not stop the run. They have the 2 best defensive ends in the entire NFL. Like if you could pick which team has the best 2 pass rushers, this is it. I mean, you can't do better than that. I think them and Philly have the 2 best defensive lines. You could throw in the Rams, but man, their ends are. Eek.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I think that they have 2 studs inside, but a very incomplete. I'd even put the Bucks ahead of the Rams.
Yeah, the Bucks, man, dude, they killed it in the offseason as far as defensive line goes, but
so moving on to a team that I'm not doubting again, and you can see it in my record. John's not as big of a believer. I don't know. I really doubted them last year. Maybe I should, but I'm taking the Chiefs 9-7 because Andy Reid knows how to win. I don't know. He just knows how to be just above mediocre. Him and that mustache. So I'm taking them. They've got good. I like Spencer Ware coming back. Kareem Hunt. The addition of Sammy, Kelsey, but again, that defense is definitely questionable. They lost a lot of pieces. Patrick Mahomes is going to throw some picks. So are they going 9-7? I'm doubting myself right now.
I love it, man. I feel like we should bet because let's just catch the listeners up. We bet last year. Okay. You said there's no way the Chiefs go 8-8. I said they're going 8-8. And we bet. I think this is the one where you had to do the 1-act play. No. I lost that one. This is where you had to do the notebook scene.
Oh yeah,
and you lost.
It was bad.
It was bad. Okay. So let's reverse it, Charles?
Okay.
Let's get our very first bet in the 2018 year.
Okay.
Oh, I'm liking this.
Okay. So the bet is if they're above 500 or if they're below 500. Okay.
So if they are at 8-8, it's a wash.
Yes, it's a wash.
Okay.
All right.
And so what do you want to bet? So I called you out, so I'll allow you to name. This is all impromptu, by the way. We haven't played this out, so bear with us here. But this is organic, and that's what the people want. They want real.
Yeah.
So NFL Express, choo-choo,
choo-choo. All right. I think that this should be a drinking bet, possibly a line of shots to start a podcast.
Okay, let's do 3 shots.
Okay,
and you can have. We'll do it to start it. So 2 minutes between each shot.
No, man, slam, slam, slam.
Damn, dude, that's all right. I don't have heart problems running my family.
Are you in this to win this?
I am. Okay, so 3 shots in a row. Of choice. The lose, I get to choose. So if I lose, I'm choosing my own liquor because I drink good stuff, and you can choose your trash because you like Smirnoff Ice.
No, I do not. We're not sponsored by them anymore. So
yeah. So Chiefs go 8-8. If they go 9-7 or better, I will do 3 shots in a row before the podcast, and if they do not, Charles will do 3 shots in a row.
No, I think you have that reversed.
Nope. You bet. You're saying they're going better.
Yes, I am. You're right. My bad.
Charles versus Charles.
It's often how it goes. So John's got them going 7-9. I'm going to guess that your problem with them is not just Patrick Mahomes, but defense as well.
Yeah, there's some holes there. You don't lose an all-pro corner. And then one of the most efficient passing seasons in the history of the NFL with Alex Smith, which is crazy to say that. But, I mean, that guy, it was unreal. He didn't throw the ball very much, but he threw the ball downfield, one of the highest completion percentage with balls traveling over 20 yards in the air ever in the history of the NFL. You're talking Dan Marino type numbers from Alex Smith. It didn't make any sense. And then they give them away. And who do you bring in? One of the most inaccurate and worst footwork quarterbacks ever in college. But I do like it. And I'm excited to watch this. I just don't believe it. I really, really don't. So, and it doesn't help their record. They're paired up with some tough guys. And that division is no freaking joke. Listen to these road games at the Chargers, at Pittsburgh, at Denver, Jacksonville, at New England. I mean, good Lord, Baltimore, at Seattle. Like, these are not division games that are tough. They don't have a lot of gimmies, even at home. San Francisco, like, they've got a tough schedule. So we'll see what happens. I'm feeling pretty good about this.
Yeah, they could blow up. It could be bad. It could be worse than 7-9. Yikes. What did I do? Okay.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Moving on to Chucky, a guy who I don't believe in. I think it's one of these things like, the girl who's been fantasizing about her high school crush forever. They graduated and she finally dates him and he's just a piece of shit. And so that's what I think finally happened. All these Raider fans, they just pre-ejaculate everywhere. And it's just, guess what, guys? It's not going to be as good as you thought it was going to be when you fantasized about it. That's what's happening here. I got to be honest with you. The way that things have been handled with Khalil Mack, I have hated it. I do think that there's going to be some improvements in terms of some of the offensive play call and the efficiency and the commitment to the run. Cool. But you have no defense. You've got no defense. So who are you? And that's the thing about John Gruden successful teams. You're talking about Tampa Bay, one of the all-time defenses in my mind. You're not going to have that. You're going to get run on, passed on, and you're going to be frustrated. And you're going to have a worn-out offensive team that's going to lead to injury. So I really don't like this team very much down the stretch. I like them to get hot in the beginning. First 8 games, people are going to be adding to me. Fine, do so. But their schedule is cupcake. If they had a tougher schedule, I'd put them at 2-14 if I could.
Dude, I love this rant. This is awesome.
Yeah. But so I'm taking them at 6-10. Still love the fantasy production that's going to come from the players that are there because they're going to be on the field a lot. How do you feel about them?
Yeah, I like them a little more than you, but not much. I got them going 7-9. But again, like you said, they have easy games, and so that's a lot of that. Whenever I go through their schedule, there's a lot of like, yeah, they could win that game on the road. So 7-9, but I'd bet the under on that if I was a betting man. Not a big fan. I don't. Again, you have the worst defense in the entire NFL. It's you have the worst. It's last place. And you're letting your former defensive player of the year just sit there and be pissed because you want to pay Jordy Nelson and you want to pay Doug Martin.
Yeah,
get with it. Trade him. I would love the Niners to trade for this guy. It won't happen, but
yeah, it's just it's a misstep, and why it's not a hard misstep when you got a player like that. You pay a player like that. So moving on from the Raiders, and it's a fan base too that nobody can wear rose-colored glasses, sort of like that. And I have Raiders fans who I love, but you got to understand that the defense is going to hold you back. All right, moving on to the Broncos.
The Broncos, the Denver Broncos.
Didn't the Simpsons?
Yeah. That's what that was. He gets like a wish or something, and he goes, "What do you want to be, Homer?" And he's like, "I want to be a quarterback in the Super Bowl. And so it shows him like zoomed into his face and he's like, yeah. And then it pans out and he looks down and he goes, the Denver Broncos. And it pans to the scoreboard and the 49ers are up like 49-3 or something like that.
It's beautiful. So here's the thing about the Broncos is that they could be the surprise team of the AFC this year, easily. I think Von Miller and Bradley Chubb are going to rival that Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram.
Yeah, if Chubb plays to his potential, I think it's there. I think Von Miller is better than Bosa. They do play a different position.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the potential is there. We'll have to see what Chubb does.
I just like the Denver defense in the as far as the secondary goes this year. Yeah, I know it doesn't have the names. I know they lost people, but and I'm referring more to scheme. I like some of the things they do. I'm worried about them a little bit though, but I'm not worried about. I like Case Keenum this year. I think he's going to be efficient. I think he's going to give Demaryius Thomas one of his best years. And I think that they're going to surprise some folks. So I got the Broncos going 9-7. And I think the thing to know is that their schedule kind of favors them. And they might be a team you want to invest in some of their players for fantasy because there's going to be some production there, I think.
Demaryius Thomas is going to have a year. He's playing for his job. They drafted 2 rookie wide receivers, and I love the game. They come out, and the very first pass is just a quick out to Demaryius Thomas. He's going to get a lot of targets. So I got him going 10-6. I like the Broncos a lot. And again, it goes back to very, very favorable schedule.
Yeah,
they have a lot of winnable games that they are lined up with. And again, man, their defense is solid. You know, people focus on Aqib Talib leaving, and that is a big deal. I'm trying to, like, Aqib's a beast, but they still have 2 top-tier corners, and Roby and Harris. Like, those guys are awesome. You know, Simmons at safety he's solid, and then you add in, and we didn't even talk about Shane Ray, who's healthy. Like, Shane Ray would start for 30 teams, and he's going to be coming off the bench in pass rush situations. So, man, I love it. Pass rush is the number 2 thing. Number 1's quarterback. And if you can get those 2 on lockdown, you're going to win. You got to have those 2.
And 2, you imagine the difference between, let's say, the Eagles and the Broncos is that the Eagles don't put a premium on corner, but the Broncos have 2 super talented corners. Imagine the benefits that they'll have from Vaughn and Chubb if they really start to put together something to get to the quarterback. Their numbers will go up. That defense will put the offense in better position. So again, Broncos can be a surprise team, do some damage in the playoffs as well, because that's not a place you want to go to. That's a bad game if you have to end up playing there. So,
yeah, and just real quick, this news that just came across my screen here, Donald Penn and the Raiders just agreed to a new contract. They were at odds. And they just agree he's taking a small pay cut, but he's going to stay on. And so that turns that Raiders offense, which their offensive line is legit. They go out and draft, a brand new tackle in Colton Miller in the first round. And they'll probably move Donald Penn inside to guard or to the right side. I mean, you're talking about a team. We dogged on the Raiders, rightfully so.
Yes.
But, man, their O-line is legit, and they're going to run the ball. I mean, yeah. Probably one of my favorite offensive guards in the entire NFL, KO, Camille Osemele out of Iowa State. I've loved that kid since high school. I love what he plays. So anyway, just a little pertinent information there.
And probably something to keep focused that one of these veteran backs is going to go down. So Doug Martin might have a really significant role the back half of the season fantasy-wise. So someone just to keep your eye on. But
deep sleeper, Chris Warren. Deep sleeper.
Ooh,
that guy, undrafted, out of Texas, big old boy. He looked amazing, and exactly what Gruden likes in running backs. He's a big H-back tight end type guy out of Texas, and he is a bruiser. So if you want to be like crazy and you're in a deep dynasty league, man, Chris Warren, I'm telling you right now, for the Raiders, pick him up, because if somebody goes down, that guy's going to be getting the rock a lot. Anyway.
Yep. The next Mike Allstott, maybe not.
Ooh, I love me some Allstott.
Oh,
Neck roll, man. If you wear a neck roll, you're all right in my book. That's all I'm saying.
And that's it from NFL Express. If you wear a neck roll, you're all right in our book. All right, so this is us signing off. We'll see you next week. We're going to be breaking down some hard knocks in another division. And so that's it from us signing off. Choo choo.
I hit stop. Oh, I got to close out YouTube. Thanks, YouTube, for listening. Appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, go ahead and head over and hit subscribe on iTunes. NFL Express helps us out a lot. Thanks a lot, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Peace.